Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movie Mandates, the show where my sister and I force each other to watch movies according to a monthly theme. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kelly.
And this month's theme is Tearjerkers. So, I mandated Kelly watch Return of the Living Dead 3, the greatest love story ever told, the one that never fails to make me weepy when I watch it. But before we get to that, it's only fair that since I mandated today's movie, Kelly gets to challenge me in a segment we call Trivial Trivia.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm very excited about this. It's on brand with the Tearjerker movies. There are several tropes, obviously, of things that you can shoehorn into a movie and or make naturally in your movie that you're going to expect people to cry at these scenarios. So I'm going to list the scenario. I chose 5, or else we'd be here forever. And you tell me a movie.
Okay.
Okay. A movie where the pet dies.
The first thing that popped into my head was the yearling, but that's a deer. I don't think that quite counts. So let's go Old Yeller.
Okay, I'm like, honestly, like Bambi's mom is also just terribly tragic.
It is, but that's not really a pet. I was like, well, yeah,
okay,
that's not,
sure.
But Old Yeller.
Old Yeller is okay. A cancer patient.
You know, I'd go with Cujo too, because it's not Cujo's fault. He was a pet, and the kid died in the book.
Oh, really? That's another one of mine. Is a child dies. We'll skip the one that I said, but that's right.
Well, I mean, we're talking about movies. The kid's like, and she's like, no, and he's like, okay, it would be too sad. The dog already died, so I'm alive.
Right? Yes. This isn't funny games after all.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, what's a second trope?
Okay, so the pet dies, number 1. Second one, there's a cancer patient or other terminally ill sort of cancer, that all-encompassing term.
This doesn't air till February, so the statute of limitations for spoilers has expired. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes, that's a good one. A child dies. Tragic child death.
One of my this doesn't count because it's not a tearjerker, but it's
one of my favorite dead babies.
One of my favorite dead children's is in the Chuck Russell's remake of The Blob in 1988. One of the kids dies and dies hard. They're in a sewer.
That could be very tragic, though. To the
it
viewer.
Is, but
like,
it's
sad.
The way it's played is shocking and upsetting, but also surprising and gross. And because they're wading through a sewer and waist deep poo water, the adult babysitter and her 2 charges, which are like 12 years old, and one of them just gets yanked back underwater, and you're like, oh no, they wouldn't kill the kid, or if they do, it's just we snatch him underwater, he's gone forever, we never see him. And then the kid gets thrust up out of the water, his face is all melted. It's like, oh no, they killed the shit out of that 12.
Yeah, they full on killed that kid.
So oh god, what is the name of the Macaulay Culkin and the Bees? Is it My Girl?
My Girl.
Okay.
That or Bridge to Terabithia, you know.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a filmic adaptation of that. So.
Oh, okay. There is one. All right. How about
fairly recent, isn't it?
I mean,
like in the last few years.
5.
I have no concept of time anymore. So
I don't either. But I
anything made this century was like the last few years.
I think I was a parent, so it has to be within the last 5 years.
Okay.
A sports movie. You can take this either like this big triumph or the defeat or however, but like sports makes people.
Oh, okay. There was so much death. I was like, what? But who dies? Okay.
Sometimes we cry for other reasons. Happiness, perhaps. Maybe it's a happy sports moment.
That's true.
Could be a sad or happy sports moment.
You know what's on my mind right now is A League of Their Own, because that's why I would just finish watching the series on Amazon.
It's emotional, and
it's emotional because Gina Davis she threw the game for her kid sister. She had that. She let go.
She had it. She let go. And because when Bill Pullman is talking with her and she's smiling, and not Bill Pullman, that's the husband, Tom Hanks. She threw it, and that's breaks my heart. Okay, last one.
I mean, Tom did say there's no crying in baseball. So.
Yeah, but what's her name? Betty. It wasn't Betty. Betsy.
Who?
I forget that.
Are we thinking of an actor or
no? The one who was crying. The character who was crying. I don't remember her name. No, because Betty Spaghetti. That's not who that is. Anyway.
Oh, when he's yelling at the woman who's crying, and he's like, "There's no crying in baseball."
Because her child is still
crying, sir.
Darling. She's crying. That's the most amazing.
You know what? Really, the epilogue of that movie is the bigger tearjerker than
her throwing
the actual end of the game. It's that epilogue, especially with the kid, and it's like, "Where's your mom?" He's like, "Mom died." I think the epilogue is the bigger tearjerker than actually the actual end of the game.
Sure. So that makes sense. I agree with you there. All right. The last one is love triumphs or good triumphs, I guess, but happy cry ending. I don't know why this has to happen.
Not sure what this gesture has to do.
There's a lot of empty space around me, so I'm just trying to fill it.
Well, not Return of the Living Dead 3. So no,
love and or good does not triumph.
Not my genre.
You're like people fall in love. This happens.
they don't die at the end.
Well, I mean, technically that will, but the end for us is 40 years down the road or more. Oh, he's really having a hard time.
Yeah, I'm blanking on this.
That's why I said or good triumphing over evil, or something like that. Perhaps my favorite films of all time. That I start crying 20 minutes in and I don't stop until it's 3 hours later. My husband is in the movie.
Okay, fine. Return of the King.
You just really didn't want to say it. You're like, I'll think of another one. I swear.
I mean, and you've got a lot of endings to pick
Seattle. From. Yeah. You do have a lot of endings to pick from, but they're also necessary.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that there is a lot of misty-eyed moments at the end of that film. I'd say the end of to get a narrower focus. I'd say Fellowship also. Boromir's death and
so heroic.
What the hell is his name?
Where is the big one that dies in
Viggo Mortensen, his character.
I'm like
the Ranger. What the hell's his name?
Aragorn.
Thank you. Them, their conversation, him fighting for the hobbits, even though he's got 3 arrows in his chest and he's not going to make it. And the conversation between him and Aragorn as he's dying, it's like, so
it's so. Those movies I can't even.
Of course, that's not that is kind of a downer ending. There's a little bit of it does end the film does end a little hopeful with Sam Frodo picking up Sam and together we're gonna go do the thing, and then
they all split up and they go their separate ways.
Yeah, Gimli, Aragorn, and Legolas are on the they're gonna do their thing and we're gonna go do our thing. Hurrah! So and you're like, yeah, go do the thing.
It's a hurrah. Yeah, it's great. So yes, there are many more tropes that are put in.
I was trying to think of a movie where 2 lovers finally come together. It's just and I'm
Sleepless in Seattle. I've already said it.
Wait, why am I thinking? What's the one of those films? It's Billy Crystal. That's the one with Tom Hanks and.
Meg Ryan is Sleepless in Seattle. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan is When Harry Met Sally.
Harry Met Sally. That's the one. Okay.
Yes.
But they're both Meg Ryan, so anyway.
Yes. She was the go-to girl for a wee bit.
She had a shtick back then.
She did. She did. And you know what? She did it well.
Indeed, she did.
I mean, Inner Space, Cupid, pull back your bow. Okay, this is not about that. I just have to make sure there's no cat behind the wheels
Before
as I
move the chair, yeah.
as I scoot back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Again, you win.
Yay! I win. I had to be prompted on that last one, but
it's because I could tell you're trying very hard not to say it. You're like, I can't just go to the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I wanted to come up with a really good, to show my sensitive side.
but
we're gonna show our sensitive side while talking about Return of the Living Dead 3.
Are we?
And yes,
are we?
A very touching, sensitive movie that's about the love between two people. So what's with the color of this screenshot? That is faded. Anyway, so I have two copies of this. I have the R-rated and the unrated version.
I watched the R-rated version.
So did I, because I knew that's the one you were watching, because that's the only one that's available for rental right now.
Yes, this is correct.
There isn't a ton of difference between the two films. From what I read, there's like 37 changes, but the time, they're like exactly the same length, because beginning of the movie where the zombie attacks the doctor peoples, what the R-rated version does is the zombie like grabs a knife or a scalpel or something and stabs the dude, and then
him grab it in this one. You see the zombie grab it, but nothing happens with it.
Right. He grabs it, he stabs one of the dudes, and then the camera cuts to the control room where the people are like, oh no, that's terrible. And you hear,
yeah.
In the unrated version, you see more stabs. There later in the movie where Julie's like biting the lip of that one guy and starts pulling on it. There's actually, and then it cuts to someone going, oh my gosh. In the actual, in the unrated version, there's another shot where it starts tearing off. So it's mostly just a couple extra gore gags.
There were a lot of like spine tingling. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. This movie was chock full of them.
Yeah. So let's read. Fun thing to do when I happen to own the movie is to read the back of the box. And I find the back of the box very interesting because it was clear that the unrated version was written based on this. So let's go line by line and see what the difference is. It's kind of interesting. In Return of the Living Dead 2, the chemical trioxin turned people into flesh-eating zombies. Same thing on the other one. In Return of the Living Dead 2, the chemical trioxin turned people into flesh-eating zombies. Okay.
Great.
Now, the government is trying to control these unstoppable cannibalistic killers. Now, with a comma, the government is trying to control these unstoppable cannibalistic killers in Return of the Living Dead 3. In case you forgot what movie we're reading the back of the box of.
Okay.
The splatterfest starts when a young man uses the chemical to bring his girlfriend back to life. When a young man uses the chemical to bring his girlfriend back to life, after a motorcycle accident, she is driven to eat the only thing that will nourish her. Ellipsis. Human brains. It's a state-of-the-art special effects show as she starts a chain reaction of the living dead by eating the only thing that will nourish her, ellipsis, human brains. She tries to stop her own feeding frenzy, but a chain reaction has already begun, as hordes of undead are unleashed from their graves.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
kind of weird how they looked at this.
That's very strange.
Yeah, they just adapted the original blurb on the back of the box rather than.
It is not as. Which one was the original? The longer or the?
Well,
shorter?
the R-rated would be the first release.
Okay, so that was that one.
Or the R-rated. This is the R-rated. So this.
Oh, so the longer one is the R-rated, and then they just kind of made it concise because there's no motorcycle accident in the other.
Yeah.
I don't care that.
Yeah. The original doesn't talk about the motorcycle accident or. Yeah, so a little extra details. Weird, but they add the extra detail of this movie, Return of the Living Dead Part 3. You see.
By the way,
the thing you read in the back of the box of. Okay, so
yes.
First things first.
Yes.
Were tears jerked?
No.
Oh, this movie makes there's two moments in this movie where I get all verklempt.
Really?
Yeah. So, quick summary of what happens in the movie. So, Julie and Kurt are lovey-dovey kids who.
And how old are you going to say that they are? They're teenagers, but are they like seniors? Like they're supposed to be like.
Yeah, I guess they are supposed to be like maybe just graduating college and going to university. I mean, the actors are well into their 20s.
Oh, sure. But like the characters are supposed to be like they're off to university type of thing.
At least, I mean, because the father still apparently has custody of the kid. It's
but he. So let's just say there are 7.
They're 17, 18. Yeah, they're late teens.
Okay, fantastic.
So we've got two lovey-dovey kids.
That we do.
And they're on a motorcycle, and she's getting fresh. So
she is getting
important safety tip. Number 1, wear helmets. Number 2, do not give the driver a handy while riding a motorcycle.
By the way, especially when he has actively said, please might stop. Be the best time. So like if a guy is telling you now might not be the best time, just heed that warning.
Yeah.
Or likewise a girl, anyone telling you no.
No crotch groping while riding motorcycle. Wait till we've come to a stop. But she does not heed the warning, and he crashes the bike, and she flies into a telephone pole and breaks her damn neck and dies.
Yeah.
Well, they had learned the previous evening or earlier that evening. I'm not sure if this is the same night or the next night.
I think it might be the same night. Things are happening fast.
Yeah. That his dad works in the military and is working on the zombie project, where if you spritz the corpses with trioxin gas, they'll come back to life.
They are weaponizing the undead. That's the idea behind this facility.
So Kurt is like, if I sneak Julie's body into the military compound, I can spritz her with the trioxin gas and bring her back to life, and everything will be fine. So he does just that, but things are not fine because now she's a hungry flesh-eating zombie.
In Kurt's defense, what you just mentioned earlier about the zombie coming back, killing someone in the room with the scalpel and whatnot,
they didn't see that part.
They didn't see that.
They left before that happened.
So in their heads,
this just brings people back to life.
Is back to life.
Yeah.
So and then they were like, "Oh, look how special!" And then they ran away to go make out, I think, somewhere or take that motorbike ride.
Right.
They think they're gonna get caught. I know.
Yeah.
Because the zombie looks at them.
Yeah, and they make a noise and it's like, "Who's up there?" And they scatter, so they leave.
Sure.
So
they did not see how it turned.
Right. So he escapes with his newly resurrected girlfriend, and
I'm sorry. My phone is next to me and it just started buzzing.
Is it your phone? Okay, your phone's buzzing.
I just dismissed the call.
Okay, cool. That's like, is Zoom doing something?
I didn't know that you would hear that. I'm sorry. That was actually our dad. So I just hung up on our father.
Well. So our wayward kids are out in the
she's dead now.
She's dead now.
She's reanimated now.
Well, she's reanimated, but she's very hungry. So they go to a convenience store, and she's going through the ding dongs and the snowballs.
Yes.
And she's just trying to figure out what's going to sate her hunger. And they run afoul of a gang of ass wipes.
Video game enthusiasts.
Yeah, well, 3 of them at least. The lady in the gang was like, "Let's go. I'm bored. You said we could leave an hour ago." Yeah, but if we left an hour ago, he wouldn't have made it to level 7.
Yeah, and let's be clear.
The gang.
They are in a convenience store
playing
an old arcade game. She is dressed to be clubbing.
Yeah.
And these gentlemen range in ages of like The one that gets bit is like 20.
Young 20s to
and then
Santos
the other guy's
in
like
as well
50.
as 50s.
And they're just hanging out at the convenience store playing their video games.
You know what? But the actor has a look, he has a presence, and he's a lot of fun. So
they're all fun.
Santos
it was
fun.
just very funny. Like that's okay. Please continue.
So Kurt runs afoul of this gang, and they're like, "You bumped into me. I'm gonna kill you."
You made my character die. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why you should play Animal Crossing.
Right, no exactly, because there's no death. Or you made me fall in a hole. You ruined my flower patch. Flowers don't come in patches.
They come in threes.
There you go. It's Dad calling again.
No, there's a message. Wow, this is an incredible microphone.
Yeah. So they pull a gun, and the proprietor of the convenience store pulls a gun, and there's a struggle, and the proprietor of the store gets shot. So everybody runs because the police are on their way, and Santos and his gang is like, "I'm gonna find you and beat the snot out of you." And they're like, "Let's steal the proprietor's truck and get out of here," because they kicked over my motorcycle. And
dude, they were brutal. They're like, "We're gonna shoot your motorcycle. We're gonna kick over your motorcycle." Like everything was just on. They just kept one-upping the other person to try to get Kurt and Julie to not catch up or not get away, and they just take the other car.
Right. So now Kurt and I'm skipping some details, but Kurt and Julie are on the run trying to find Julie something to eat. She finds out that she takes a bite out of one of Santos's gang, and she quickly finds out that human brains, that's what I need. She also finds out that pain through physically self-harming herself, like jamming needles through her skin, can temporarily stave off the hunger. And this is actually something that comes up in the previous movies, where they learn that why do the dead eat people? Well, because it hurts to be dead, and eating is the only thing that staves off the pain temporarily.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is a great scene, because I think it's the first movie, the first Return of the Living Dead, they strap half of a corpse, the upper half, to a table and interrogate it, because zombies can talk, you see. And they're like, "What do you want?" "Brains." It's like, why? So and it goes, "The pain." And they look at each other, and matter of fact, they're like, "Huh, it hurts to be dead."
Interesting.
Did not
That's
know.
such an interesting.
So Kurt and Julie are on the run from Santos's gang and the military, who are trying to, because they're like, "Oh, she's gonna eat him." So
the military is, because it's the father figure who's like, "We need to go save my son."
Right. So so by the end of the movie, they make a friend, Riverman, the sewer dude, who's awesome, but Julie eats him, and she eats the entire gang, and then the military catches up, and he steps out of the line of fire and lets them shoot her with the paralyzing gun, and she gets leaving. He lets her go, but then he goes back to the facility, and he breaks her out, but he gets bit. So now they just sit in an incinerator together.
Yeah, it's very interesting because she goes back and forth. I'm going to just fill in a little bit. So that is the end, that they go up in flames together, because there is truly no.
They Thelma and Louise it.
Absolutely. There's no end to this. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I'll take that. Ready? Nose. Go. Okay, so playing fetch with the cat. The point is, so because pain staves off the hunger, you can see, it was very funny because she will put things in her body, and she being Julie is like shoving nails in her fingers and stuff. And I remember she went to kiss Kurt at this one moment, and I was like, has she always had a lip ring? And then in the next scene, she's kissing him, and there's 2 lip rings. I'm like, I get it. Okay, sorry, that was just woo.
She's starting to jam pieces of metal that she finds through her lips, and
no one but this woman could pull off the final look. Like, so they find
the poster next to us, or
a refuge
that way, I think.
So they find a refuge for a moment, and Kurt is like, "Whew, I am bushed," and he takes a nap. And apparently, during said nap, she jacks herself up, man. She puts like nails in the tops of every finger, and she puts daggers coming out of her palms. She gives herself spikes on her shoulders and down her arms,
which are shards of glass that she shoved through her skin.
She weaves a chain around her neck, and I mean in and out, woven chain around her neck. She pierces all things that could possibly be pierced, and then of course her nips, and then she cuts out the boobages, cover the whatever area around her boobages.
Yeah, her chest is exposed.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Which is great because then she has her nipple pierces.
Yeah, because we wouldn't know she pierced her nipples if her boobs weren't out.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing is, that's a prosthetic.
Her boobages aren't hers.
For that entire for this makeup.
Yeah.
That's a prosthetic piece on her chest. It wasn't in the sex scene earlier in the movie. That's all Mindy Clark. But
well, that looks good. That was a good those. But, I applaud the prosthetics. That was very, very well done. Those are very realistic boobages. Like those aren't, you would think that they'd be like, well, I guess since you've already seen them, they need to at least match something that you've already seen.
Well, I mean, the thing is the nipple piercings are kind of janky, and there's cuts and
she looks incredible.
Like, it is a really great design.
It is a
just aesthetically, it is really cool.
And the lighting. So I watched this movie, and my friend
and Melinda Clarke's physical performance as this character is really good.
Yes. So I was watching this with my friend last night, and
which one?
Fushi.
Okay.
And same one that I watched Turbo Kid with. I'm like, did I watch Turbo Kid with him? And we were looking at her, and she's like standing there doing her, physicality, and it's really great. Yeah, it's fantastic. But it was very funny because I'm watching this thinking that looks really cool. Like she was really owning this. Like this is like what she was made to do. And he says to me, he's like, yeah, but put her under some regular lighting, and that's just some random crazy person on the street. And I was like, oh.
Depending on which city you're living in, it's like, yeah, I could walk down the block and find 5 people who look like that.
The lighting, it was, they're in a sewer, and
they're backlighting through
just like anything,
pumping dry ice and stuff, so.
But it was this very funny thing. And here's the thing that really just boggles my mind. So this gang has caught up with them, right? At this point, when our hero Kurt is taking a good old, post-coitus nap. We're not even going to talk about that, but yes, post-coitus nap. And
I think the only sex with a zombie scene in any of these films.
Interesting.
I can't think of another, which is surprising.
While he's sleeping, that is actually very surprising. While he's sleeping, she's jacking herself up, and our convenience store gang people catch up to them. And the leader of this convenience store gang guy, he goes up to Miss Julie, and he totally said, he's like, yeah, I know just what to do with you. And
it's kinky.
He's like, it's kinky and I like it. And I know just what a girl like you needs. And I'm like, I don't shame anyone's kinks. I really don't. As long as you're with a person who is also, consenting, whatever you all want to do. But I am curious about a man who's looking at a woman with literal shards of glass, tin, metal, nails coming out of her body, actively bleeding in front of you, and thinking, yeah, I'm going to stick it in that. How?
Yes, I will admit this scene strains credulity. There are some red flags that Santo is not heeding here.
Yeah, I mean, he saw breasts and nothing. He's like, exposed flesh. This is amazing. So yeah.
So why does Santo and gang have such a hard-on for Julie and Kurt? Why are they chasing them through a sewer?
Because she bit their bro, yo.
Bit their bro, yo, and the bro is like, oh, he's like dying because zombie bit him, and they're like,
that wound is
we should take him.
fast.
We should take him to a hospital. Yeah, as soon as we kick their ass. It's like, Santo, your priorities, man.
Yeah, you have some real bad. Oh shoot! Oops. Yeah.
So Julie tears his head off.
Yes.
Which makes a wonderful zombie because she doesn't completely decapitate him.
No.
She just pulls his head off, but his head is still connected to his body by about a foot of spinal column.
Yes.
So you have this body wandering around with this head on the stalk of spinal column, which is so wonderful.
It's so wonderful. It reminds me of The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love a good practical effect. Very excited.
There's some good stuff. The convenience store owner who dies, he actually gets shot by police at some point, gets the top of his head. So he gets shot and
she eats the top of his head. She eats
the top of his head, that's right. And so there's a lot of shots where it's a puppet of a dude who's just kind of missing the top of his head, which is great. There's another one of the zombies gets a face full of steam, so it like melts his face, and that's fun looking. Yeah. The only one that doesn't work is the woman who's like, "Can we go?" Her zombie makeup and performance was just kind of crap.
It's the most cliche, like, I'm just gonna hang a shoulder. Yeah,
she
and limp a little, lost. Maybe. Yeah, definitely something like that.
She pieces out at one point. She's like trying to climb up a ladder out of the sewer, and Julie just rakes her damn leg, and that's really good. That's a great shot.
That's really good. But the thing that's so funny, so Julie and Kurt, so throughout the movie, Kurt is trying so hard to keep Julie human because she is
losing herself
within, well, she's dead. So she's losing herself within that. And of course, making herself feel all this pain. So she's not eating the man she loves, but she is turning into a monster. And he keeps trying to bring her back and be like, it's all right. I'm here. It's me. Focus on me.
Love will find the way.
So the funny thing is we're talking about this idiot girlfriend who makes a bad zombie later. She's actively leaving, and Julie rips her leg. And then he being Kurt, runs over to her and is like, no, you have to stop. And then it pans, and then the camera shoots the woman on the ladder, and she almost acts like, oh, he's diffusing the situation. And she comes down the ladder. Granted, she gonna die anyway because of the leg, but like the way she comes down is very much like, oh, he has it under control now, good. And then she gets down, and the person that she was, the guy whose original arm got bit,
charitable reading is her leg. She can't get up the ladder with her leg.
So bad acting is what you're saying.
All due respect to the performer, not the strongest performance in the film.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying I could do better. I'm just saying that's how it read to me. But she's like, oh, good, he's got this.
She really has no character except to whine. I want to go. Correct. We need to get to a hospital.
If you were traipsing around the city and sewers in those shoes, I'd be whining too.
Yeah, it's like, you're absolutely right. She's dressed to go out to a club, not play an arcade game in a 7-Eleven for 2 hours, and then go traipsing through a sewer.
Exactly. So
okay. So the two for me tear-jerky moments.
Yes, please tell
are when Julie dies, when she's thrown from the motorcycle and breaks her neck against a telephone pole. Kurt gets up and he's like, dude, and he looks around and he sees her crumpled at the bottom of the phone pole, 15 meters over there, and he limps on over because he's messed up too. He's got a cut on his head. His hand is skinned apart. His leg is screwed up. So he gets over there and does exactly what you would expect. Oh no, oh God, somebody help us. No, Julie, please don't leave me. All that kind of stuff. And respect, because this actor goes for it. He made me believe. There's I think the acting from our leads, Melinda Clark and whatever the dude's name is who plays Kurt,
No idea.
Solid, absolutely solid to really good. I think where they're not served is the film's dialogue is not very good.
I was gonna say it's the opening. They do well. After she turns, they get better. The exposition is so like stilted and like, oh, I'm so excited to be here. This is great. Can we go to that place that your dad works and sneak? I mean, it's just very like, we just have to put exposition in your sentences.
Yeah.
And that's
at first I thought they were doing something like these kids are like big environmentalists and we're gonna catch your dad and the man and the machine doing stuff, but they never really do that. It almost comes across like they're just kids had nothing better to do and thought it would be fun to break into a military compound for funsies. Which yes. I mean, okay, fine, but yeah, him crying, him cradling her and crying and pleading and crying. I'm like, man, this could have been really embarrassing to watch, but he went for it.
Yeah.
Both these actors just are absolutely committed. They go there.
Yeah, they definitely don't have a I couldn't possibly mentality. They're like, they'd rather go over, which is great. As a director, you want them to do more because you can pull back. You can't always get them going forward. So
yeah, it's I thought it was a well done, affecting scene. I thought the emotion and the connection of the two characters was there and sold appropriately.
Oh, they definitely loved each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you don't know why, because there's just not enough character work in the film. And this is the scripting, the dialogue and the plotting. I have no idea what these two see in each other, but I believe that they do love each other. So, and that's all on the performers. And then of course where they settle into the furnace at the end of the movie and kiss and then hold each other as the flames grow around them. I'm like,
and they cremate each other.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
That's all Bride of Frankenstein, We Belong Dead kind of stuff. That's always affecting. It's great. That's good stuff. You monster.
No, so
who
first
feels
off,
nothing.
Well, let me explain. I like this podcast because of this moment here, that you have seen something completely different, because this is not how I read this story.
Ooh, okay.
And so I'm going to tell you how I read the story. Is that I thought the love story, I thought you were going to I thought it was between the father. I thought it was the father's love story for his son. That's what I thought it was at first. Until the very end, I thought that that's what it was. And I'll tell you why. So we're going through, and all I could think is, this man is not listening to her. He wants so badly to escape his father that he put all of his eggs in the one Julie basket. Well, the Julie basket broke, and he's like, I can't not on my own, so I'm going to need you. And she tells him throughout the movie that she's in so much pain and that it's horrible. And she's like, please, you have to leave me alone. You have to leave me. And he's like, I can't. And then at the end, he gets bit and he turns, and he's like, dude, this sucks. This is painful. Let's go in there and die. I can't deal with this at all. So that's how I read their love story, because I thought it was about the father, because at not the very end, what I thought was the very end, and then there was 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
The father is debriefing. So this is after
it's less of a fourth act and more of kind of an extended epilogue.
It is. So just after, and let's rewind to when Brother was telling you the ending of the movie, that Kurt steps aside when the military gets there and his father is there and Kurt is surrounded by zombies, and he steps aside to let his father's people
This is shoot. Right after Julie ate all of Santos's gang.
and
the
Riverman,
the
right?
friend that they had made in the sewer.
Correct. So
who
all
let
these
them
people are
crash
now
and
dead and
bone in
going
his
to be
bed.
zombies. Yes, thank you. And so that's when the military catches up, and they all get paralyzed with these guns, and all of the zombies actually get brought back to the facility, which we don't really know, but that's okay.
Well, right, because everyone she eats becomes a zombie, and that includes, Santos's gang and the Riverman.
But at this point in the movie, all we know is that he steps aside from Julie, and that's the part that for me, I was like, oh, okay, he stepped aside because he realizes that it's about his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the very next scene, they're back at the military base, and it is an awkwardly directed shot of just the father sitting behind the desk, telling his son how much he loves him and how much we're going to have to move forward. And, I am going to take that position in Oklahoma, and we're going to move forward in this part of our life. And both Fushi and I were like, oh, the son's a zombie. The son got bit in the sewer. At some point. I mean, she
nibbled him a bit.
She could have anyone at his ankle biter or whatever. He was surrounded. And we're like, oh my God, this is the father's and son's story. And he's going to take his zombified son away to Oklahoma and hide him and try to find a way to keep him and find a way to maybe bring him. So like, he's going to bring his son back and he's going to make it work. And so I was like, oh, that's incredible. But then it pans away. And let me tell you, it stays on just the father for quite some time. The man gets up from behind his desk, walks around his desk. It's still only on the father, which is solidifying in my brain
that zombie the son Kurt is going to be chained to the wall or something like that. Yeah.
And I was there. I was like, oh, good. My brother didn't let me down. This is right. This is right. And then it shows Kurt, and I kid you not, it took me a full minute to be like, am I just not noticing? Is it just bad zombie makeup? Has he not turned yet? Why aren't they just at least showing the bite? Because they're not doing a good job with, oh my God, he's not a zombie. It's not about the father. Damn it. And then he goes and, saves his girlfriend.
Never does find his key card.
Right. And so then he goes. So basically, the entire movie is about a boy whose girlfriend dies, and he brings her back just to realize, you know what? Should just left you dead. And like, the man started an apocalypse and then decided to bounce because he couldn't handle it. Anyways, I like the father story angle. And that, to me,
that would have been interesting.
Right.
As it stands, what is the movie saying? I mean, the literal read of this film, thematically, I suppose, is don't love anybody because that only leads to death and horror.
Oh,
it's a literal read, but I'd like to be a bit more charitable. So
yeah, whether in life or in death, these two are supposed to stay together.
It's like, no, when someone dies, leave them dead.
Leave them dead.
Because the father, he mentions it in this scene that you were just talking about. He's like, when your mother died, I took it really hard, and I threw myself into my work, and I didn't do it. It's like, great, maybe you should have dramatized some of that. I mean, it's somewhat inferred in the beginning of the movie because the mom's not there, but you don't get any details about that.
And there's some tension between the father and son.
Right.
You can tell that there's like, some. Right. You're not the best. You weren't there. Or,
they say show don't tell. They didn't even really tell.
Right.
It's like, this is information that probably should have been up front in order to bolster the analogy that you may have been going for. It's like, okay, my wife died, and my inability to let her go destroyed my relationship with my son.
Right.
And this is analogous to Kurt. His inability to let Julie go is destroying everything. His relationship, everything. It just
really.
causes
He can't
destruction and
have a
horror.
relationship with anyone
Right.
because he is, exactly. And no,
Yeah.
I thematically, like, taking a step back and going that way.
There's something
Yeah.
I don't think that's what was on the movie's mind. I don't think that's it. I'm being very charitable here, and I think that would be an interesting uh theme to plumb if they wanted to do that. It's I don't think that's what they were going for here.
No, but I did feel that because of that speech, because of the I couldn't let your mom go and it's the worst decision I ever made. And that, like,
Yeah, and the whole Julie adventure is dramatizing that, except that information comes at the end of the movie after most of the adventure, which is the wrong place for it.
Right.
Unless you have a really well-written movie where that reveal makes you go, oh, but it's not that well written. It's
right.
very clunky dialogue through most of the film. But all of there are a lot of character actors in this. Our leads, Melinda Clark, who 90s actor, one of those actors who just makes whatever she's in watchable. She elevates everything she's in.
She's very cute. You like her. You're like, I just like you.
Yeah. The Kurt, I don't know I've seen him in some other stuff, but he's completely serviceable, and he does a lot, like when he's crying over Julie when she first dies, them holding each other at the end of the movie in the fire, when he steps aside and allows her to be frozen,
that he was,
and
that was
huddled
tough for him.
Huddled against the wall, kind of fetal
position
and just kind of 1,000 yards. He did that really well. But when the script forces him to go, well, then go, then you're disgusting, harumph. I'm like, no, that's not working. That's bad dialogue, and he can't make it better. There are some actors that can take bad dialogue and make it better. He's not one of them. That's okay. With the exception of the woman in Santo's group, especially Santo, he just such a they're a lot of fun. Those characters, they're over the top. They're
the guy who had his arm bit has nothing else to do than agonize, though.
Yeah,
and she has nothing to do with complain. But so the other two are really, they're just.
It's the Santo show. The guy who plays Riverman is incredibly charismatic with the small role he has, and his hero turn at the end of the movie where he's. And
that's the thing, is that you actually, like, when he passes, you do kind of go, oh, man,
you feel bad when
you do. You liked him. Yes,
Kurt goes, not him. And you're like, yeah, Julie, damn it, not Riverman. No. And that's Sarah Douglas, who plays the evil lady.
Yes, I was looking at her going, I know your
bunch of 80. Probably my favorite role of hers is that witch in Beastmaster 2. She is so damn funny in that. You cross us, Rich, and I will cleave the black heart from your bosom. Everyone wants to cleave my bosoms. They cleave fine by themselves. Thank you. She's funny. I love Sarah Douglas.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, she doesn't have a ton to do in this one, but underutilized Sarah Douglas. Damn it. But she's the one she's the even worse military person who's like, we're gonna enslave the. It's the movie does a weird thing. It's like, no, the dad is the nice guy who only wants to bring the dead back to life to drop them into enemy territory and have them eat everybody, and then they can shoot them with freezer sticks and pack them back up for the next time. Right. He's the good guy, contrasted with Sarah Douglas, who's like, I want to do exactly the same thing, except put them in a metal exosuit.
And make them warriors. And that's a hell of an articulating exosuit, by the way.
You know what? That exosuit is. This is a low budget movie, but
I know.
They pulled it off pretty well. There's some good stuff. The miniature that they use for the wide shot of the whole facility.
Yes.
Is adorable.
It was so funny because.
And oh my god, all the walls are
they're all.
Don't touch the walls.
Oh my gosh. There was one scene. They probably
only had like 20 flats, period, and they just had to keep rearranging. All the metal bars appear to be like hollow aluminum dowels that you'd use in a closet to hang your clothes on, but they're supposed to be these steel bars. Just keep moving.
Yeah,
oh, it's adorable.
Great. It's pretty great. There at the very beginning, there was a scene that a few of them were like coming out of a room from a meeting to stand in front of another one of those panels, and I was like, oh man, they had a door. I'm like, don't touch anything, guys. Don't touch anything or breathe or speak too
the big wheel thing that locks it, that was clearly made of rubber, which is good because when Kurt is carrying Julie's dead body, he keeps knocking her head into things.
She's dead. What do you mean?
I mean, she's dead, but I was thinking about the actor. I'm like, oh damn, he's really close to that wall. I'm like, the walls are made of rubber. It doesn't matter.
It's styrofoam. They're fine. But yeah, it moves at a really good pace. It's an hour and a half, right?
It's a little over an hour. It's like a hour and 37 minutes or something like that. So it's a little over an hour and a half. But it never drags. It's got a lot of great gore and
fantastic gore.
Oh, we didn't talk about the zombie at the beginning of the movie that's face is like fused to its shoulder, and then it like pulls its head up, and the skin of its face rips off. And it's so good. Nothing quite matches the tar zombie from Return of the Living Dead, but there's some really good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's really good. There's good zombie. There's good gore. There's a lot of death. And I will say, this is the movie, or at least it is for me. Whenever you hear about zombie movies, you're always like, oh, you do an impression of zombie movies, and it's brains. They do that in this movie. Julie actually does the brains. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't think that there's anything that I've ever eaten that is so damn good that I'm like, oh, sushi. Like, maybe I get like that if I'm really drunk. And I'm like, I just need hash browns.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it feels like. But it was interesting. I was like, hey, there it is. I don't think I've ever actually heard it in a movie. I was very excited to hear it finally in a movie and not just,
So so Return of the Living Dead 3, one of my longtime favorites. I love this movie.
Oh, good. I'm happy I finally saw it.
Yeah, I recommend it to everyone. Is it a good movie? No. But it's a lot of fun to watch. It may not be a good movie, but it's a pretty awesome movie. So, all right. So, but Tearjerker month is not over yet. So, Kelly, mandate a tearjerker.
Okay, so this is one. This was a hard month for me to choose because we all know, the obvious tearjerker for me is LOTR because I will cry from the beginning to the end. That's just not a podcast movie, though.
The Hobbit movies for a different reason.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you seen the new show on Amazon yet?
Okay, I haven't.
I haven't started
because I need to watch it, which might shoot me in the foot later because I also don't have time to
watch 8 or 9 hours or however long yeah.
But I have a feeling I'm going to need more, so I might just wait for a few and then watch that few because I don't think that I would be able to allow the weeks to go.
Gotta wait for the season to finish airing and then just take a weekend and binge. Okay.
Exactly. So that's what I'm waiting for. Have you?
It's one of the ones I wanted. That's the one I'm planning on do next for debut review, but I haven't watched it yet.
I think there's also part of me that I am terrified. Do not screw up my show. I need to know what Stephen Colbert thinks of it. Maybe he likes it, and if he likes it, then I'll give it a go. But has nothing to do with, actually has everything to do with crying because I'm a weepy mess during it. But so I have chosen the quintessential tearjerker that I have never seen.
Oh, all right.
Steel Magnolias.
Steel Magnolias. All right. Is that on the AFI list?
I don't.
Might be.
So you check it out. So I have seen the play while I was in high school being performed by high schoolers. Not that I'm giving anything bad about that. I'm just saying my depth of knowledge, their ability in acting just didn't marry enough for me to get emotionally attached to the story. So I'm very excited to watch Shirley MacLaine tell me how.
I was gonna. I'm like, this is the Shirley MacLaine one, not the Queen Latifah one from 10 years ago, right?
I had no idea it was remade.
Yeah. Well, there's. Let me look on IMDb real quick.
I think Dolly's in it. Sally's in it. Julia Roberts is in it, right?
Sally Field's in it. Olympia Dukakis.
Olympia Dukakis. That's right. Olympia's in it.
Julia Roberts, Daryl Hannah, Dolly Parton, Tom.
Daryl Hannah's in it. Oh, Hannah.
Kevin J. O'Connor's in it. Dylan McDermott.
Ooh.
I had to read through half the cast before I finally got to people I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah. So, and I've never seen it, and
I've never seen it either.
Now, I know
Queen Latifah and Alfred Woodard in.
Oh, so now I love Alfred Woodard, but like I did
apparently
not know
there's a 1990. What is this? A TV movie? What is this? 1990. Cindy Williams, Sally Kirkland. Television pilot based on the film. Show wasn't picked up. Oh, okay.
Okay. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. And if you want to watch with us, they'll be in the show notes where you can do that.
Yeah.
Because we're going to watch it and then talk about it.
That's right. All right. Well, friends, neighbors, and other people who are watching this show somehow without knowing, I guess you just click something randomly. Welcome.
They saw you and they're like, who's that guy with Yakko behind him?
And just sweating profusely. Even though I can totally hear that there's a fan running in the background.
Well, why does that girl keep getting calls? Okay, we're done.
She's really popular. Damn. All right. Today's episode may have come to an end, but Tearjerkers Month continues next time with Kelly's mandated movie, Steel Magnolias. It's about very sturdy flowers. Mm-hmm. If you'd like to watch it too, check out the description to see where it's currently streaming or available to rent. Until then, you can watch Movie Mandates on YouTube or listen to it in podcast form on iTunes. And hey, if you enjoy the show and would like to, help us reach a wider audience, engagement is key. So if you're watching on YouTube, like and comment. If you're listening on iTunes, rate and review. Much obliged, y'all. And with that, I'm Andrew, and you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen.
I'm Kelly at Get Isengard.
We hope you've all enjoyed this episode of Movie Mandates, and we'll be back soon with another mandated movie. Bye, everyone.